When I was up at Dewachan about 6 months ago to look at their power situation, it was pretty bleak. They're renting 3 houses adjacent to Dewachan property, and it was too cost prohibitive to fix the electrical. But now that Llama's got electricity, I'm going to donate our chest freezer to those guys so they can make ice, so they can get some coolers to store food in, because they have no refrigeration at all.
Okay.
And so Shammy's going to help me get the cooler up to Dewachan next week, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And I was going to suggest if we could maybe try to get some money together to buy some coolers, because each house would, if they could have something to put their food in, it'd be nice, because they go shopping once a week and their stuff sits out for a week, you know? So it's kind of...
Should people talk to you if they'd like to donate, Joe? Okay, that'd be great.
So, you know what? I found the cheapest coolers. There was this big Eagle coolers at Price Mart. They're, I want to say about 108,000 out here. They were like 58,000 at Price Mart.
Okay.
That's San Jose, right?
Yeah, that's a good.
It's worth the drive.
Price Mart?
The
Price
drive.
Mart, yeah.
Hey, Nelson.
Okay, now I think Pam should make
It sounds like
an announcement about next week's talk.
Oh, Jennifer had a-
We have some other announcements with you that you're not seeing. Okay, Joe. So Joe, if you're interested in making a donation for those,
Or
talk
if
to
anyone's
Joe.
got an old cooler they want to
Absolutely.
donate,
Or
something
if you
like
have
that would
something
work.
that you'd like to donate, absolutely.
Two things. So I just wanted to remind everybody that at 9 o'clock on Fridays, we have the pavilion open for silent meditation from 9 to 9:30.
Oh, very
So
good.
that's been going on in the month of January, and it will continue in the
I
month of
didn't know
February. Yeah, so
It was on the calendar.
it was on the calendar, but
It's usually just
I missed it.
2
I
or 3 of
didn't
us. It's
Yeah, yeah.
really nice.
under the pavilion over there,
Oh,
they were buried in dirt. So
Wow.
I think they were there for a while.
What are they?
they're
They're
sunglasses.
Ray-Ban sunglasses.
They would look good on you. I think they're yours.
So
Are they prescription?
no, they're not prescription.
I remember somebody was looking for them like months ago.
Probably.
Were they left in
It
the
looks-
pavilion?
Yeah, they were under the pavilion over there. So somebody sat over there. They probably fell out
Let's
of
stick
their
them up
pocket.
there and we'll give them.
So, yeah.
some.
Okay.
That's it.
Diane, you have an announcement?
Pam and Dave got the award for being gracious enough to carpool and help the traffic situation out there.
Yay!
And the rest of you are all. What did you say?
No, we're not going to say what we said. Are all invited to carpool next week.
Okay, when I drove by, there were like 3 cars in there, so I just drove by. But I would have
Diane
gone.
was there, so just pull in.
Boss
Diane,
Six
I
is
was
still
behind
pulling
you.
their weight.
Pull in where?
Okay,
Sandy tried.
I tried. I really
Sandy
did.
tried.
Hey, Jeff, pull in where?
We're trying into the new happiness project.
Oh, I didn't know
right
that.
at
I didn't know we're parking there.
At the
Okay.
entrance of Papagayo. Where the
is
two
there a
bamboo
hard
trees are, just
time
go
with the
park
last-
there and share rides up here.
Is there a hard time with the last ride leaves?
Maybe 9:45.
Okay, you wanna say 9:45? Be there by
9:45. Be there
9:45?
by 9:45. Yes.
Speaking of carpooling, my name's Kim. I come from Canada, and my partner and I are looking for a ride up to San Jose in the next 3 days if anybody's going
Okay.
that way.
Great.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey guys, hey Joe. Hey Kim.
Anyone else?
When are you going? We would like to go anytime in the next 3 days.
I'll just announce that the Happiness Project signed, we thought it would be Monday, signed on the property, at the entrance to Papagayo, but it was Tuesday, which was in Bedford, Costa Rica. And so we'll be sharing it for this year with the Life Project
Thought they might
School,
be.
Monday through Thursdays. But be developing it, and we'll still have the old happy house for a year as well.
Oh.
So exciting time. Yes, Dave.
We have some guests staying with us that had a Canon DSL camera battery charger stolen out of their car. And if anybody has one that they'd be willing to lend me for a day, they would appreciate it.
Oh, what kind of battery?
Suzanne's got it. Suzanne, okay?
I have one.
She's got one.
I'll get with me.
Sure. We have newcomers. We always like some
One more
introductions.
announcement.
Okay, go ahead.
Just a reminder that to New Year with a flag ceremony at Dewa Chen. So if you wonder about this beautiful land everybody's always talking about, you're invited to come see me for details. It's next Friday.
And there also will be a regular talk here for those who can't make it. And there may be carpooling to go up to.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, can you say into that?
I'm absolutely pairing cars with drivers with rides.
Okay,
So
so
talk to Pam.
So, yeah,
talk to
talk to
Pam
me.
about
If you have a
time.
ride problem, time problem, it's a potluck, bring a veggie dish.
Well, I know that we have new neighbors renting, and that's Joseph and Kim, and they're sitting out there somewhere, so that's, I know they're new together.
Introduce yourselves.
There you go.
My name's Joseph Roberts. I come from Vancouver, born in Winnipeg. This is definitely not Winnipeg. I started Common Ground magazine in Canada 42 years ago. Hence the T-shirt. I've had the T-shirt
Yeah.
for 30 years. That's the 10th anniversary. And I've had the blessing to interview some of the most wonderful people in the world.
Yes, he has a
Foley,
magazine.
Elizabeth Kubler-Ross,
So he said,
Sam King. I mean, it's incredible people. If you want to talk about that afterwards, I'm here to talk.
cool. That's great.
Very good.
Anyone else new?
Kim, hang on. Kim, there's a Kim. Kim is with Joseph.
Kim, you want to say something?
Well, I can say something. I don't live with Joseph in Vancouver. We're partners, but neither of us was willing to give up our places. So I live on a small island, and I'm now a
Spring Island.
small Salt Spring Island where there's a very large Tibetan Buddhist temple and community.
Right.
And it's not big in terms of the number of people that are there year round, but it's operating as a big sanctuary. I was a Waldorf early childhood teacher, and I'm loving Costa Rica. I totally understand why you guys ended up here.
Good.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Okay, that is a new company.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
am Chris. I'm visiting from Winnipeg, friend of Ivan's.
Oh.
Here for a couple of days.
Nice.
Well,
Thank you.
And I thought I saw your back, and then you disappeared.
You were occupied. That's when you did it.
Well, they're not newcomers.
But she's still,
Yeah, my daughter,
She's still
Kate,
there.
is here. And with her is
I'm back.
Sorry. Oh, she's out there. Okay. I didn't notice. We had dinner last night with Nelson and Alicia. Are we here?
I'm here. Alicia is a little under the weather.
Okay, well, so that's, we're having a fine time. They got, I will tell you this, they got on the airplane in Orlando, and some guy rushed on the plane and said, everybody out of the plane, now.
What?
And they had melee, and they took everybody off the plane.
What?
And then they had to go in, and each person that was on that plane had to be photographed.
What?
Their passport shown, all this stuff. They ended up having to spend the night in San Jose because it was so late by the time they got here, and they're only here till Saturday night.
But what was the reason they were told to leave the plane?
They don't know.
You don't
Well, it had to be
know?
that there was somebody on that plane
That
they
was-
needed to catch. I would say now that I thought about this, they took pictures of everybody's face coming off that were taken off the plane.
Wow.
So it's always exciting just getting here.
It's a journey to get
Yeah. Anybody else new?
Wow.
Okay.
Right, a full house, but most of the people that were there,
That's all people we know. That's good. You ready to do the she's clear your throat. Good morning, everyone. Morning. Welcome to this week's Dharma Talk here at beautiful Bali Rica. I was going to ask if anyone had spoken to Sharon about how things are going there. I didn't get a chance to talk to her the end of this week, but they were about to discharge Matt. So that part is another announcement going back here. Anyway, again, welcome to this week's Dharma Talk and a big Pura Vida on a Pura Vida kind of day. And the opening meditation is going to be given by Pam. And then Jeff is going to give a talk on the hindrances to happiness. So here we go.
Okay, thanks.
Speak up, guys.
Come to your seated position on the bench or on the floor, on your cushion. Eyes open or eyes closed. If your eyes are open, just kind of soften your gaze down towards the floor. Not really focus on anything in particular. And take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Roll your shoulders up and back down along the spine and settle, sigh into your seat. Feel the parts of the body that are touching the ground. And make a connection with the ground. Not sinking too heavily, but just, it's more like notice gravity. And then start to build a tall spine. From your tailbone up through the small of the back, mid-back, between the shoulder blades, open the chest forward, up through the neck, out the crown of the head. Tuck the chin just slightly for ease of breath. So the crown of the head reaches up towards the head. Continue breathing. Just your natural breath is fine. There's no reason to force. And then take a quick inventory through the senses. Hearing the bugs. You already felt your seat. And notice your hands in your lap or on your legs. Taste in the mouth. Any odors. And vision. Turn your vision inward. Coming back to that place. Practicing. Coming back to that place in the body where you can locate what we might say is your gut feeling, your instinct. Take a few moments and breathe. Feel yourself tense up in any way. Take a nice long deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose. And come back within. Maybe you feel that place in your heart or in the pit of your stomach or in your back. It's probably not in your brain. So leave intellect aside and come to a feeling place, a vulnerable place. If there's discomfort there, remember you're okay and take a breath. Use the breath to soothe yourself. And then thoughts will come. Meditation isn't about not thinking. It's about being okay, coming from that place of strength and vulnerability, and being okay with the thoughts that come. Let them pass, like you're scrolling. Notice and release. Notice and release. making friends with your mind, not controlling it. Notice any areas of tension. Breathe into those areas and soften. Heart towards yourself first, and then towards others. Sitting for just a few minutes, noticing thoughts. chest. Turn the head side to side. Release any tension in the spine or the back or the hip. Slowly open your eyes and come into the present. Namaste.
Namaste.
I'm going to do an introduction before the 5 hindrances that are pretty traditional Buddhist teachings about hindrances to happiness. But I have three sets of questions for you to reflect on. What is Costa Rica? What would you say to someone who hasn't been here what Costa Rica is? What is Costa Rica really? So now I'm going to switch gears, reflect on this. Who am I? Who am I really? Who are you? Who are you really? Go back to the second one, which I can speak to. I am an Olsen. Born into that. I am a father. I am a gringo. I am quasi-middle class. I am white. I am gay. All kinds of titles. But when I get to, and I'll say this one thing, what do I do? How do I define myself by what I do is also another piece of this. One of the really interesting things about our 2 names, and if you're Costa Rican 3 names, is that there's only one that is who are you really, and that's your first name. You are all those other things, like clothes that you put on your body. I am an Olsen, I am this, I am that. You ever gone to a reunion and people are like, so, what do you do? Interestingly, when you're old enough, as some of us are, and you go to a reunion, people don't even ask it anymore because they're just like, oh, they're past that. The last time, nope, not one person asked me, what do you do? They did talk about Costa Rica because there's some of that.
They always say, what did you do?
Yeah, what did you do? That's probably more accurate. The reason why I ask those questions to you before we start these hindrances is, who are you really? The Buddhists have a very interesting, unique view on how to answer that question. Of course you are all those other things, but who are you? I am all these conditional things, and to use your terms, in a dualistic world. I am this, I am not that. But who are you really? The Buddhists go to a bowl illustration. And this is the start before we talk about the 5 bowls that are hindrances to happiness. They illustrate this by saying, happiness, the true nature of you, of one's mind, is a bowl filled with clear water to reflect one's image. A bowl filled with clear water. Very different than a lot of other spiritual systems who start with a very different kind of concept about who you are. You are not clear water. You are corrupt and need help. You're guilty and you need an external help. Buddhism does not start there at all. There's not an external source by which you can be rescued from yourself. You are a bowl of clear water to reflect one's image. One of the beautiful things about being your first name is nobody else is it. Well, there might be other Jeffs. As a matter of fact, there are 3 Jeff Olsons in my high school. That's how popular Olson was and Jeff was when my parents were naming, us. But none of us were the same. 3 Jeff Olsons, none were the same. Your unique, clear presence is your gift. Native American spirituality says your most unique gift is the way that you're different from everybody else. That your difference is your gift. There were people born into Native American tribes that were called Berdache. These were people who were actually many times between the genders. And as we know in our Western culture, we struggle with that idea because we like our labels. And we like that you're this or you're that, not that the fluidity of the middle. And but they viewed that person as a gift to the tribe that somehow had been given to enhance the community they were born into. Your first name contains that idea. Your unique gift to your family is that you are you. And the Buddhists start with the idea that you are born happy, with the full potential for happiness. It's a nice start, isn't it? The other thing that's very interesting about Buddhist teaching is it's very realistic. It might be really nice to start with that quote Disney idea that you're pure clear water and then write the storyline. But that's not how life goes, realistically. And so they do a lot of teaching about what are the things that get in the way of that pure, clear bowl that you are, your unique gift. So I'm going to go through these, and I've gone through them before, a while ago though. It's been a couple years. Sloth and torpor is one, and we always get a chuckle on that one in this group. So if you start with the idea that happiness is found by you being your full, mindful, clear nature, your Buddha nature. These are 5 things that get in the way and can stop that road to enlightenment back to your purity. Hindrance 1, all done in bowl illustration, which is nice. If I was really well prepared, I'd have 5 bowls and we'd do the little demonstration. You'd remember it. But I did it, so we're going to go with just the concepts. Hindrance 1, a bowl of water with dye in it. Clouded, inaccurate perceptions fueled by, and here's the dye, sensory desire. Impulses and our desire for comfort. That our impulses and our desire for comfort and temporary relief clouds the bowl as if it were dye in the bowl. We can't see our true nature. We get lost on the journey to us.
Can you give us an example of what that might be?
So I actually said I have impulses. The impulse. Let's go to comfort. That one will be very easy. Unhealthy desires. This is all about sensory desire here. Unhealthy desires are thirst, compulsions, addictions, wants. I want these things. In our Western mindset, we are a jar full of this stuff, of what we want. You might come here simply, and then slowly but surely you start to want things, and you start to gather what it is that you want, and all of a sudden the bowl gets clouded. You lose track of Costa Rica, you lose track of yourself, and all of these things get in the way. So thirst, compulsions, addictions, wants, these are all the things that cloud the water, and we can't see our true reflection. Healthy desires, things that are in balance, are things like wishes, motivations, aspirations, things that we actually need, that we want. And so when we are affected by our desire and other people's desire and live in an environment of sensory desire, we're trapped. This is the image that comes to mind. I used to, in a very poor time in my life, merchandise Timex watches in department stores. I wasn't good at it, but it was a job. It was money. And at the front of every department store in those days was the cosmetics. Right? All the ways that you could temporarily relieve the aging process. And boatloads of money. And they put it at the front because there's boatloads of money for the store. Smart marketing, and those things. And people who spend all of their time making sure that that is perfect, beautiful, clothed well, live in a bowl of clouded water. Because when you live in a reality, we get older. We get lines. We need naps. Our sexual desires start to diminish. This is all just a part of the process of this. And when we get trapped in our desire, our sensory desires, impulses, and desire for comfort, indeed, we cannot see our clear reflection. We cannot look in the mirror and say, "Hey, you look good for 69. It's good. This is good. You earned those." I'm not against, I'm not coming out against those things, but a preoccupation with those kind of unhealthy desires and imbalanced view of that. If you are what you wear, at the end, you won't be wearing anything. So this is a part of the stripping down process, this about how you get back to your creation. Go ahead.
Well, the other half of the cosmetics counter is that maybe you're not afraid of aging, you haven't reached that point yet, but you're at the age of wanting to create desire in other people.
Sure.
Either to be attracted physically to other people, or to be friends with other people, or so they hit you in two. We got two different dives in there. You got on the desire level.
Absolutely. So that hindrance is something to understand, acknowledge. That desires and impulses for comfort and the follow through. Thirst, compulsions, addictions, wants. Those get in the way of your true nature. They can. Second one. A bowl of heated water that you try to see your reflection in. A bowl of heated water that's bubbling because it's boiling. This is the hindrance of anger and aversion. Makes sense. Which creates mental turbulence, which obscures our clarity of vision. How well do you see things when you're angry? You just see them through your angry eyes. This anger arises when we attach to a particular unguaranteed outcome. Let me say that again, because I specifically picked those words. This anger arises when we attach to a particular unguaranteed outcome. And we act as if it's guaranteed, and then we're disappointed, and then we're angry, frustrated, and we're angry. It didn't go how we wanted it to go. Darn it. Just like a 3-year-old. This idea of heated water is that all of life's circumstances are viewed personally and taken personally, which is the detachment that Buddhism talks about. Pulls you away from that kind of personalization of everything and the drama that goes along with it and the heat that goes along with it and the aversion. I like this, I don't like this. I like you, I don't like you. I do like you. No, I look back here.
I see motion. I don't see much of it. Everybody points at me. I know that it is.
The very interesting thing about in dealing not in an adversarial way with anger is because it arises. It does arise. And then it falls. If you allow anger to rise and you sit with it, it will fall. If you remember it later, it will arise again, and it will fall. And so there's nothing permanent about anger. But this bowl of heated water, if indeed you want to be true to your pure nature, it's not connected. Buddhists are really opposed to expressions, outward expressions of anger. Dealing with your anger, but this is like a no. If there were no no's, this is the one.
It's violence.
Mm-hmm. So when you do, then you have to be part of the process of not giving in to that aversion. Watch it rise, pay attention, watch it fall. Choose and act after that process. If you feel angry, I've done this personally, I don't know if you've done this, but if I feel really strongly about something, I write an email and then I put it in my drafts. And the next day I look at it and I'm like, whoa. Whoa. Hold back, horses. And then I revise it. And then I put it in the drafts, especially if it's an important one. And I'm considering sending it or not. That kind of thing, waiting for the process of that to go through. To act in anger is to act ignorantly, and to act not according to our human nature, our original nature. Watch it as it arises, watch it as it falls, then choose an act. This takes a lot of patience with the process. If this is not good, this is a great area to consider. And if you're the recipient of anger, then you can go to some of those other phrases like soft answers turns away wrath. But this aversion where we get to heated water is filled with our expectation of unfulfilled outcomes. We want to control the outcome. And in that control, we suffer. Then we lose sight and the water boils and we can't see our true nature in it. Third one. A bowl of water filled with algae. Green. Stagnated mind and stuck patterns. Sloth and torpor. It's good. No clarity, no energy, no light in the tunnel, disconnected rather than detached. It's a loss somewhere in the ecosystem of you. Either, the beauty, I shared this a couple weeks ago, but I really like this illustration, that if we move beyond being just a bowl, but we are a pond, to receive the input of others is a stream coming into the pond, receiving new information, growing, learning, curiosity opens for water to flow into our pond. If we think that our pond is complete and we don't have any input from outside sources to challenge us, we turn gray. The other thing, and this is the back end of it, is if we are ecosystemically healthy, there is an outlet to the pond too. And this was my last talk. Altruism, charity, giving to others. This is the outlet of the pond. If we just take in, we get stuck in our patterns, again, of comfort and self-absorption. And so this bowl of water is stagnated and stuck. And for us to be healthy and to not do this is to indeed open ourselves to things we don't know, to not know. Beginner's mind is how the Buddhists say. And then we stay connected to life, but in a healthy way. Input, gathering, output. When we do that, we're not a bowl, and we can see ourselves clearly. We can see ourselves in how we are receiving the new information. We can see ourselves in our true nature. We can see ourselves in what comes out from us, especially for the good of the planet and the good of others. So many of you in this room understand this, so I'm preaching to the choir. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have a curiosity about having your pond filled with some information. You wouldn't be here if that wasn't true. And so many of you have such beautiful outlets of the way that you serve the world. Absolutely wonderful. And it comes from the pond, which is your true clear nature. However, if you don't receive those, you become stagnant and you get stuck in patterns, no clarity, no energy, no light in the tunnel, disconnected, like kind of a teenager on a video game. Stuck in some kind of addictive pattern in a corner, put in your own corner. It's de-energizing. Is there a word called algaic? Is this a word? Algaic ponds kill other things around them too.
Say to your kid who won't get up off the sofa, you're being algaic.
Algaic, that would be good. I haven't thought of that word. I think it's not a word.
It is now.
It is. And so that's the third hindrance, that we would lose the energy and just stay within the patterns and not open, closed. I bet you all of you, as you think of these things, you can think of people who are exactly like this. I'd like you to think, in what ways am I like this? What are my areas where I do that? Because that's the only place where you have a little bit of power. Have a lot of power. The fourth hindrance, a bowl of windswept water. Unstable, restless, worried. This is when the mind is tossed about by waves and wind that sways you back and forth, states of agitation, excitement, overexcitement, constant activity. I should sang with that one. Constant activity. When you are constantly busy, not only do the winds blow you around, but you blow everything around. You have lost your true nature. If there's one thing that I think about the United States, it's that it's very busy.
Multitasking itself to death.
Absolutely.
Multitasking everything.
The more things you can fit into the day. So, if you have taken that mentality and brought it to what is Costa Rica about, really, you will not find what Costa Rica is about. You'll just have transferred the winds by which you live to the next place. You brought your baggage with you. Instead of setting the baggage down and going, what now? Do you have people who come and stay with you that zip line, scuba diving, deep sea fishing, do every possible thing available, and they go home exhausted, but they've had all of the superficial trappings of Costa Rican tourism. They did not enter the country, really. Yeah, and on our place we have big red letters that I bought in Minnesota that say relajarse, relaxation, between the two bedrooms. And so when I bring people to show them the bedrooms, I'm just like, let's stop here for a moment. We would invite you to at least one day just be up here on the mountains. Let it come to you rather than you go to it. Then you will know what Costa Rica is, and you'll go back a little refreshed. Yes, the gift, fine. All those things is different. But you will have missed the essence of it. And so do we when we get so busy. We become just the things that we do. And then at that point, we're swept by all the winds of trends and change that the world around us says are important. The Buddhists call this the monkey mind. You swing from branch to branch to branch to branch, but you're always swinging. It's very interesting that the Eightfold Path done by a wheel is about how to steady your ship from those kinds of winds. Not be swept by them. Because you will lose who you really are if you just become swept by other things. Swept by busyness. If you are swept, I'm going to read my last thing. You're not mindful and often fueled by past unresolved things and by future potential do's and don'ts. What I've done, what I need to do, what I've done in the past, you end up not being mindfully present in the moment when you're swept by the winds. Preoccupied with the past, what happened there, and that can lead to these other things that are cloudy in your world. Or what is the future look? but what happens next? And so this mindfulness that Ruthie talked a lot about last week is counteracted by this kind of hindrance. It's a hindrance to you finding your true nature, finding your true way, finding your way home. It's not Oz, it's home. Last one. A bowl of muddy water. This one is less talked about than all of them, but it's interesting today. Put it at the end. This is a bowl of muddy water which is filled with doubt and indecision.
Lack of diligence too.
Is that right?
Yeah, following something you can't stick to doing something you're trying to do because you lack the ability to be diligent.
Okay.
I just thought of that not long ago, and that usually isn't said, but that's kind of
No.
the result.
That's good.
Kind of the result of it.
This is a mind, a state of mind that wavers, always straddling the fence and never getting off the fence. What should I do? What if I were? Always in a land, rather than in a land of solid, it's always in a land of wishy-washy. It's not the middle that the Buddhists are talking about. It's really talking about straddling. Yeah, it's teeter-totter is exactly right.
It's the cursed wasteland of a lack of equanimity.
Okay, explain that.
Well, balance.
Yeah.
It's where you can't make a decision. We've been talking about dualism and everything having an opposite, and you can't decide if it's this or if it's that. And this is the kind of doubt they're talking about, because the Buddha believed in skepticism. That you should be skeptical. You don't take anything on blind faith. Ask questions. But he was definitely against doubt. Not definitely, but against doubt. Because of the lack of, and you're paralyzed with indecision.
This one fits to me in my thinking, and the third one and the fifth one really fit together where you're stalled. These are the stall, you're stalled.
Stalled, you're stuck, you're stalled.
You're stalled with both of these descriptions of hindrances to happiness. And so if the goal is to be a pure, clear light, pure water in a bowl, when these things come, as Pam said in the beginning, you notice them. You don't fight them. You notice them as they come, but you don't attach to them. There's the difference. That you pull as you were talking in the meditation at the beginning, you pull yourself back to the center. Will you feel angry? Yes. Will you feel confused? Will you feel stuck? Yes. But to not attach to that and bring yourself back to a mindful, pure self. And then to see everyone else as that. It does get you away from the world of judgment. It does get you away from the world of grading things, like a teacher. You take life as it truly is in a non-judgmental way, in a discerning way. That brings you back always to your true nature, which is like a field of lights that when you join communities like this, it's like a field of lights popping around. It's a clear bowl. It's not stuck, it's not green, it's not muddy, it's not boiling. This is good stuff because it's so reality-based. So are you really? What is supposed to look like, really? When you go back to those essences, now you are on a path towards enlightenment. Your own enlightenment. An enlightened way of living here. An enlightened way of living here with others. You know, one of the great things about being involved in the Happiness Project is all of us immigrants to Costa Rica, we belong with the Costa Ricans. The Costa Ricans welcomed us. Set up a form of democracy, not perfect, as many are not, but set up where we can feel safe and secure in living here. And the beauty of that is to find the true nature of the indigenous people who are here, and to see us all as lights together. Not just as people that work for us, or are going to make us more comfortable, but actually the core nature, getting back to that book. And that's the beauty, and that's one of the reasons why I want to be part of the Happiness Project, is it sees all of this as a more right, Diane? We evolved into that idea. That wasn't our first idea. We evolved into that because of the beauty of happiness and what that does, and the inclusivity of that. So, I'm going to stop there. 5 bowls all get in the way of you going back to your true, clear Buddha nature. What comments do you have? Yeah,
A friend of mine came up with the perfect description of what Costa Rica is yesterday. He says,
who did this?
It's a country.
Nelson.
He said it's a place where nothing works.
No, but
Nothing works, but it sort of
but it
works.
all works.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I love that one.
Nothing works.
Nothing works, but it all works.
But it all works.
Yeah.
Nothing
Good.
works.
It's unified.
But I think there was, I love your allusion to the bowls and all the things that are impediments.
It was the Buddha, by the way. It wasn't me. I'm just repeating
So there's no plagiarism here. So, but there's a lot of profound thought in that muddy bowl that we could spend the whole session discussing that, because when you're indecisive, what do? You feel bad about yourself because you can't make a decision. But very often you turn to other people and ask for advice, right? And that can go 2 ways. If you're honestly seeking a solution and bouncing off your options to somebody and listening and not being, automatically adopting what they suggest you do. Let's say you're looking at a piece of art. I like that piece of art, but I don't like that. And you're influenced by that. You think less of it, perhaps, if you're influenced by that. But it can also go the other way. And it could say, okay, I'm stuck here. I'm going to harden my attitudes and only take in the things that agree with my inertia. And that can be an even worse outcome, because you only accept information that fits in your state of mind at that moment. And I think these are problems with a lot of the things that are happening in the world, that people are stuck in their little trench and they're not open to other things, and are honestly seeking to clarify that moment.
And also that fits with that third bowl again. That is a green, stagnant bowl. To not receive new information and not, I have often talked with my kids who are in their 30s that what I'm seeing missing in their lives is an ability to give for the common good. Involved in something that's for the common good. But it's not just limited to that generation of people. We have this all within us. and we feel stagnated because we're continually consumers of the new information. Or if we're only consumers of one line of information, now again, we stagnate. We stagnate our development. We don't return to our true nature, which didn't have this as part of it at the beginning. Good, thank you.
I'm doing a course, it's an online course with Pema children, and dealing with difficult emotions, and so we're working with the glaciers a lot, and these are sort of the same thing.
They're companions to that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting parallels, right?
Lot of parallels.
And it's kind of recognize, refrain,
yes,
and reframe. That's kind of the mode that she's.
Is there a way that other people that are here can find that? Is it under
It's Shambhala Publications, and she has these online courses in Pema children.
We could certainly put that on our
website. I could send you the thing, but you have to sign up for it and pay for it. She's also got a bazillion books, and one of the books is on that too.
Yeah, absolutely. That would fit beautifully with these bowls.
That's like, it's neat to learn about the bowls. It gives a more visual picture, whereas the places you're kind of like, it's a bit more like jealousy.
It takes
Anger.
the individual feelings. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay. Someone else about these 5 hindrances that get in the way of you being who you really are. Yeah.
I remember being taught these, and it was a great deal of comfort to know that, as I say, I've done every single one of them at different times. I've been in each bowl, but to know that these are pretty universal, that there's stages that we are capable of coming through, that when these hindrances keep us from practicing fully or accepting the Dharma, that this has been going on for 2,600 years, and there's some skills that you can get to overcome each one of these, and I'm not special. I'm not special. These are universal human problems that can be overcome. So it was, there's books and books on these 5, right?
There is.
You could read forever about just these 5 and how they can hold you back from having a strong practice. So, I found great comfort in realizing that, there was answers to all of these.
Absolutely. I also get great comfort in just the Buddhist idea that this is not how you started. This is not how you started. This is how you've been affected and infected by them. There's comfort in that, and there's comfort in that this is common struggle. Someone else. Go ahead.
Why is Minnesota not Costa Rica? You're from Minnesota, right? Wisconsin?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Thank
Minnesota.
you. Minnesota.
Why is it not?
Why is Minnesota not Costa Rica?
Why is it not?
Why can't you do the same thing?
It is a unique gift. It's been a unique gift to me. It's a state that the license plate says land of 10,000 lakes. People who joke say it's the land of 10,000 treatment centers. Because that's a big business, in Minnesota. But it's not Costa Rica. But it has its own charm. It has its own magic.
And a new flag.
A new flag?
Minnesota has a new flag?
Minnesota just changed their state flag.
Oh, wow. A new flag. Okay.
I
10,000
I suppose what I was asking is, isn't the true goal here to be able to carry your clear self wherever.
Yes.
In other words, it's not the place that makes your clarity.
Right.
You know, now maybe there are places that one needs to be in order to discover one's clarity, but it doesn't seem about place to me. It seems about something else.
You know, for me, I'm going to be honest.
So that's what I'm
going
asking.
to be honest with you. I found regressive. I found it harder and harder to live through winters. And I was not myself 6 months of the year. I was not my clear self. And therefore, when I came here, all of a sudden I was like, oh, here it is. So this was a good evolution for me because that I had stalled. The pond had stagnated 6 months of the year. And therefore, the surroundings did affect my inner mole somehow. I let it.
Maybe part of it is also that you're leaving a place that you have so many attachments, and you have this whole persona and this whole life from when you possibly from when you're little that creates the person that you are, and everyone knows you as a certain person, and then you become the person that you're known as. And sometimes you just need to go to another place to see who you really are without all those influences.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be Costa Rica.
It does not.
It has to be another place. This happens to be a pretty good one.
Which is why so many people come and go.
Yeah.
They find out
They find out who they
little
are.
much time with this, and they're like, "Oh, I got to get back to the."
There's no distractions.
Right.
It also is why kids need to leave home. They need to leave home because they're too identified with their last name. And they need to become their first name. They need to find their way. And so it's a whole other set of circumstances by which you travel somewhere new. That's good insight.
It's why integration when you go back home can be difficult.
It can be.
You mean when you go back to Winnipeg and
when you go back to busyness, that's the hardest one for me. The first airport, people walking fast, noise everywhere, screens everywhere.
There's violence in the air.
It's like full. It's full. You know, Katie, you still live there.
Yep.
And it's a noisy, busy place.
Different energy.
Different energy.
The
Well, I
energy.
believe the Buddha would have added a sixth one here. I don't know what the bowl would have indicated because it didn't happen when he was alive, and that is continuous, ruthless and relentless overstimulation.
Oh,
And I think that would have had one of the bowls.
like the internet.
Is that a bowl full of electrons?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Time for a new bowl.
A bowl of electrons? Yeah. That's right.
Oh, there would be a battery in those.
Well, it answers the, Jeff, it answers
That would
the,
be a whole other new teaching that would really fit with the modern
I thought
world.
about this,
Yeah, good point.
precious and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I really think, what's different now than was then? Nothing is different, but you can add that on as a new supplement cost.
We want to add that to the bowl of boiling water,
Yeah.
like as well as anger,
Yeah,
causing
it would
concern,
Yeah.
overstimulation,
Right.
bad energy.
Right.
Chunking example.
It kind of seems to land there, doesn't it? A lot.
That or the windswept bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. See, look at it, kind of fits in a lot of these spots. It also is a stagnated spot. It's green. It's green where people get stuck and they just receive the same inputs over and over and very little output.
In an embodied bowl where you get so much information, you can't decide.
Right.
You can't come to a decision.
Yeah.
It's just
Now,
constant
you
information.
really get stuck.
Really, yep.
Yeah.
These are very interrelated, aren't they?
Sure.
Good. Thank you, Sheila, for kind of.
I wanted to add something actually. It's kind of on the topic of the water thing, but I found simple as when you have a glass of water. I don't know how much people do this, but you have to talk this water. You bless this water. It says, okay, thank you, because it is the biggest part of memory on earth. And has the most memory in it. And I started practicing really strong in the last few months, and I find it makes a huge difference in how you think and how you believe. Like just giving thanks, giving blessings to this water. Anyway, you go to the river, you go to the ocean, you give a little bit back to the ocean, pick it up, give it back as blessings.
That's cool.
And I'll tell you, it's amazing.
Yeah,
To take that little bit of water with blessings and put it on your body, it can start a whole big chain reaction of change. In how
It sounds like a bowl of clear water.
Yeah.
What you're talking
Well,
about
exactly,
when you do it in that manner.
Yeah.
Well, I
Because we
think
take it
that's
for
a
granted,
wonderful,
you know?
that's
Of
an
course we do.
actual practice, which we can add to our list of actual practices.
Jeff,
Very, very,
if
that's
I may,
very
I think
good.
Vern's been trying to swat a fly.
Oh,
You
oh.
don't see him.
Well, one thing, Sharon and I have been coming down here for like 13 years, on and off. And when we were first here, we just loved it so much, but we didn't know why. But as we came down, I started to see, it took us like 2 weeks for us to come to Costa Rica. All that stuff slowly went away, and when I realized that, I mean, that was what Costa Rica is. It's none of that. And although it's changing, but anyway, when I realized it, and I talked to Sharon about it, and she felt it too. And so when we started to come down, it was shorter and shorter periods. Where now we come down and we drive in the driveway, and
Here we are.
it's something like that. This is closest thing to clear water that we get
In your experience.
Yes, in my always right. Yeah.
So, and I do think the thing that a caution, not a commandment certainly, is a caution is to allow it to be Costa Rica to you.
Exactly.
Allow it. And don't superimpose your world on it, or it will just become, it's just your world again.
Just in a different
And you see that, especially when we have visitors come down, zip lining, surfing, you do everything.
You do.
And that's not it. And Costa Rica is just the clear water. Just let it take you, well, it carries you away, or you accept it, or whatever.
My most pure moment in Costa Rica was the night that I bought the land that I now live on. And nothing on it, 2 plantails, and I took, I'm gonna be honest, I took a bottle of wine and went and sat on the mountain.
Oh, why not?
I only drank half of it, so it wasn't like I was drunken.
We got the other plantel to do that.
And I watched the sunset happen. And it was a mountain view, so it's like a reflected sunset, you know, it's like, and then everything changed, and then little fireflies came up in all the grasses, and then the lights came on the mountain, and I just absorbed it all, and it was really like a heavenly experience, because I stopped, and was grateful for what just had been given to me. And all of a sudden, then it was magical, and the magic was there. I also heard that the valley, that the energy vortexes in the Baru River Valley are one of the 5 places where all the energy under the earth meets.
Yeah, that's one of the magnetic lines or whatever it is.
And so here I am looking down on that, and then it's just all this magic is happening around me. It happened because I sat. It wasn't because of the wine. It happened because I sat and let it.
What's
That's
your
it.
answer to that question, Nelson? I suspect you had an answer when you asked that question.
No. No.
Just the question.
Because you're on the same journey, you know, we all kind of, I mean, we probably all have our own stories about how we get here, but it seems like there's syncing. But you kind of come and go.
You mean to Costa Rica?
Yeah.
Well,
And here and there and the States.
we're in a liminal state.
Yeah.
We're in a place between.
Yeah.
So I'm
and
wondering if you had a different perspective
Oh,
Like when you asked the question, what were you really asking
He's exploring.
from your perspective?
I don't know. I mean, this was not a question I asked with an answer in mind, so I hadn't given it any thought. I just wondered about it. But
Nelson, would you speak Nelson wrote an article, and in it he starts off with a mention of a friend way back in the college years who came up with a statement about monkeys that relates to what we're talking about here about Costa Rica.
does it?
Remember the line?
All right, I'll share it, and then you tell me how it relates. Are you now going to point that out?
He'll share the story, and then you explain your perspective.
I had a friend, my first roommate in college was a good friend. He was a Malaysian dude, and he turned out to be a painter. He's actually one of the kind of foremost recognized artists in Malaysia, so he grew into. But when we were just students hanging out in Cambridge one day, we were having a beer, and he said, "Nelson, there are only two kinds of places in the world: places with monkeys, and everywhere else."
There you go.
And I repeat that I repeat that a lot. You know, it's an easy laugh. You know, it's an easy laugh. But I've begun to think, and maybe this is the question you're asking me. I've begun to think that there is a profound difference, and that when there are monkeys in the trees, you live where the wild things are.
Yeah.
And when you live in the wild, and most of America, I think, is tamed. All of Europe is tamed. It's wild there, but it's not far. You know, you can still get to the Walmart pretty easily. You know, that I think your vision of yourself, your fragility, your sense of boundaries, maybe your sense of distraction, clarity, meaning, purpose. All those things change when you live with a feeling that the jungle could take it over all in a minute. As I mentioned in this piece I was working on, like the end of 100 Years of Solitude, where the babies carry the ants come in from the jungle and carry the last baby of Macondo away. And you feel that here. I feel that here. I mean, I live, since I've been here in 4 months and a couple of months before, I feel that tenuous fragility of having to live with the jungle around me. And there's a feeling, it's not all the time, it's not the only feeling, but it is a strong feeling of having to find a balance in a place where maybe my skin is kind of thin and I don't have a lot of protection. So, so this is kind of what I think
Well, I would
about
put
here
it in
terms of
Buddhist
place.
terms, actually. As in, it's not as easy here to make samsara comfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And by that I mean, I heard a great story this week, and it actually shook me a little bit. Because the story was, and I'll shorten it, but the story was 2 prisoners on death row.
Mm-hmm.
In this story, it's a prisoner, and he's got his guard. And on this story, it's his prisoner, and he's got his guard. And in this jail, they have a swimming pool, and a Starbucks, and cushy beds, and the guards are wonderful. This guard is doting, and brings him what he wants for dinner. And in this jail, it's torment. The water's dirty, there's no place for your feces, it's torment. The guards feed you. And in the story, the question was, which prisoner escapes? The obvious answer is the person who's being tormented. And which prisoner goes to execution? The one that's plied by all the comforts that we've become used to. And the goal is to, be able to see through screen that's in front of us, that's put in front of us.
Through all the distractions.
Through all
the distractions.
Yeah, through the comforts that don't really make you happy.
They're good story.
It's
Good thing.
yeah, and so I mean, it doesn't really have an ending except that you kind of have to sit with that thought for a minute
Very good.
and decide
Yeah.
for yourself because you have a choice. And I think also some people don't realize they have a choice. And that's the awareness we try to cultivate in motivation, in meditation. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so that's, for me, that's the going in, recognizing something's uncomfortable, and what can I do about it? So.
And what can't I do about it?
And what really are my choices?
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool.
And you are tested here all the time.
You're just here a lot.
All the time.
That's good.
Before we go to loving kindness, there's someone else raising their hand?
Last thing, and then we're going to do loving kindness meditation.
I'm going to try to also shorten a lot. It comes back to the question about should there be a sixth bowl, or would there be a sixth bowl if the food was going to help? I'm going to try to I work with teachers and
Can you speak louder?
yeah, I work with a lot of Waldorf teachers and mainstream teachers in universities and colleges. But one of the things that I do is I ask them a couple of questions. So for a moment, what I mean is a couple of seconds. Reflect on your own childhood, on a significant memory of play. Can a couple of people just briefly share something of their memories?
Lego.
Oh.
I used to have this toy car my dad bought for me, and I used it until I was an adult. And I would go on a hill like this big. There was no brakes on it. Go down the hill and then stick on the tires and spin it all around. It was crazy.
Anybody else?
Sandbox. The sandbox.
One more?
Marbles. Marbles under the big willow tree with my brother.
Yes.
Okay, so we've heard some brief stories. How many of you, when asked to consider a significant memory of play from your own childhood, thought of a memory that was outside?
Outside.
Outside.
Was it outside or was it inside?
So,
Trees.
what I have come to realize is that almost all of us, when asked a simple question about a significant memory of play, this is actually a different experience than most. You might think of a lot of you come from the U.S., although I speak worldwide. But when you ask that question in most situations, you used to get about 80 to 90% that would remember an outdoor memory. Now when I go into colleges, so we're looking at somewhere around 20, there is a much smaller group of people. And what I have been making my life's work about is consideration of why that is. And I think it's because we are scared of children being free and being outside.
Yes.
And so we keep them in. What is interesting is that we still have about, I would say, when the 20-somethings in that group of college students will still see about 40% raise their hand with significant memory of play. We'll be outside. But here's the interesting thing. Most of us are much older than that. And our vast majority of memories of play are going to be outdoors. The window has narrowed. And that, I can't remember if you or you about this sixth bowl, but my experience is that the stuff is in the bowl. Whether it's classes, programmed activities, too many toys, unnatural toys, and there's no room for life.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I would like to make one quick answer to.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
You know,
Okay, I won't make it.
before you do Ruthie, I just want to say, you asked what is Costa Rica? We were driving down the street the other day, and I know what Costa Rica is. This is heaven if you're a 10-year-old boy.
If you're a 10-year-old boy, man, running with snakes and bugs and rivers and trees to climb, this is like Lost Boys heaven.
That's what we did as kids. That's what we did as kids.
Yeah.
When we were 10 years old, right? Running around, you left in the morning and you came home at dinner. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna finish here because we want to get done close to us.
Okay. Anyway, I was just going to say one of the first things about Costa Rica that I love, you asked what about it, was the sounds. Because I came from Tampa. I had been living there about 6-8 years, and it was continuous sirens and traffic and trucks and airplanes over there. And I came here, and I hear Natalie's voice over there. And we went to her house right at the beginning, and the monkeys were unbelievable. The congos were going at it, and it was on every side. And I think maybe we don't notice when we come to Costa Rica the subtlety of a lot of the sounds of the insects and the birds. And I think a lot of what gets us to relax is the relief in our hearing, because I think those of us who are attracted to Costa Rica have some innate need to get back to nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's like a demand. Anyway, we need to do loving kindness. It's getting late.
Let's do a short one.
I don't know how to say it.
I don't know how to do short.
Don't know how to make it short. Okay, everybody.
Just do the loving part. Forget kindness. It takes too long. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. One or the other.
I used to have a cartoon of a clown with the whole clown outfit on and the paint and the baggy pants and the pom-poms and all this, talking about our reflection. He's looking into a pond of still water, and his reflection is of Buddha. So you got to remember that, when we're fooling high, we're a little of both. Okay, so loving kindness. Short version. Take 3 breaths. I love myself. I love you. I love you tonight and tomorrow and the next day. And that's it. You're meditating. All right, so now we're ready to close.
We're ready to close, except for we have a close after the close. Go ahead.
Okay, well, let's not close it.
Do your usual
We will quibble.
Pre-close.
Do your usual closing.
Since we've had such a great conversation, we're running over time. So here we go. Everybody, if you don't know this, just listen. Okay, benediction time. Go in peace.
Go in peace.
Go making peace.
Go making peace.
Living gently.
Living gently.
Loving mightily.
Loving mightily.
And bowing to the mysteries.
And bowing to the mysteries.
That was a fun time.
Happy
Birthday
To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ruthie. Happy birthday to you.
Good blow. Well done.
Many times here, which is Kenny Rogers, the gambler. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. And at 89, I think, I told Jeff, before you have to come up to me and try to be gracious by hitting me over the head and killing me out, it's getting to be that retirement time, so I'm not called Lady Joe Biden. We don't want to do that. Anyway, I love all of you, and we've had 9 wonderful years. Sure.
Yeah.
And I am doing my level best to kind of retreat and retire and be a part of the group and just interrupt Jeff whenever I feel like it. And so we're looking for, other people to help take care of things. And there's my first friend. That's my very first friend in Costa Rica. She came to pick me up at the airport.
Really?
I have an emergency, so I gotta go.
You gotta go,
Yeah.
well, I love you.
I love you.
Okay.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Natalie.
It's not an emergency, is it?
No, it might really, no, but I gotta go.
Bye.
If you're interested, we're going to lunch afterwards, and you guys want to birthday. So